Welcome back to another episode of the Nove podcast, where we sit down with operators, builders, and founders who are shaping the future of high growth, high impact, and high industries. I'm your host, Nathan Owens III. Today's guest is someone who started with a problem most people walk past every single day: the air inside the buildings we live and work in. He co-founded a company with a university dorm room idea, scaled it through a pandemic, and is now sitting at the center of one of the most urgent conversations in infrastructure. How do you keep buildings and data centers breathing clean air without burning through energy we can't afford to waste? I'm joined today by Aedan Fida, co-founder and CEO of Blade Air, a Canadian clean technology company, and redefining what indoor air quality means for commercial buildings, institutions, and increasingly the digital infrastructure that powers our economy. Since co-founding the company in 2017 alongside his brother Joseph and their friend Giancarlo, Aedan has led Blade Air through non-dilutive early build, pandemic era pivot that made them the Ontario's vendor for record for air purifiers in schools, the acquisition of CleanAir.ai, and recognition as a Globe and Mail top growing company, and a member of the 30 by 30 class of 2023. Woo! They now have more than 25,000 filters in the field, more than 2,000 buildings optimized, and over 540 million cubic feet of air being cleaned by their technology, and it's growing. Aedan, welcome to the show.
Hey Nathan, thanks so much for having me. I'm blushing like crazy over here. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Hey, listen, I could say thank you. I mean, that is a lot that you have accomplished in such a short time, relatively short time, let me say. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, most companies start with a founder who sees a market opportunity. Blade Air started with your brother, I think, growing tropical plants in the university room. So I want to dig into that. So take me back to that moment. Explain what Joseph was trying to do in the dorm that connected the dots to the company you're in the building together.
Context is in 2017, Joe and I were both in university. He was going to what's now Toronto Metropolitan University for chemical engineering, and I was attending Schulich at York University
Nice.
for business.
Mm.
And my dad had the brilliant idea of saving money by putting us in the same house together. And, like sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes great things happen. And
Yes, yes.
in 2017, cannabis legalization for recreational consumption was getting passed in Canada.
Hmm.
And at that time, if in case my eyebrows haven't told you, I also have an Italian heritage.
Okay.
And the tropical plant connection here is
Yeah,
that growing up, we lived right down the street from my grandparents. And Joe, being
nice.
the eldest male child in my family,
Okay.
was very responsible for being at their place often to help them with their garden. And so
Oh,
when we were in
nice.
university, the way he would cope with the stress of engineering was he used to grow plants. And,
Ah,
it started normal,
yeah,
cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
yeah.
And as the stress of engineering got higher, the plants got weirder. You couldn't open a closet without finding cherry seeds germinating in a little plastic Ziploc baggie. And so when we say tropical plants, I mean actual tropical plants, not a creative way of saying
Wow.
cannabis or marijuana.
Yeah. Couple eyebrows probably raised like what?
The innuendo nuance was almost disserving to us at some point. Accelerating the story here a little bit.
Yeah,
Basically, what happened is Joe tried to grow a lemon tree,
yeah.
realized couldn't do it in Canada, especially in the winter. Not enough
Mm,
heat, not enough light, and said, "Okay, well, I'll buy a growth locker." Saw
yeah.
the price of a growth locker, which again commonly used for cannabis at the time. Said, "Screw that! I'm an engineer. I'll build my own."
Nice,
And during the
nice.
design phase, realized the inefficiency with the carbon filter.
Hmm.
Called some of his friends who were growing the other tropical plants. Um, Said, "Hey, what is this? Why do I want it? Why do I need it?" And they
Yeah.
basically said that if you don't want the cops or your neighbors or anyone else to find out what you're doing, it is absolutely essential that you keep this carbon filter. And so
Mm.
he saw this huge inefficiency, said, "Well, screw it. I'm an engineer. I can do better." He
Nice.
knew that myself and Giancarlo were already looking to start a business together. We had the itch. Uh, all of our, mine and Joe's dad and Giancarlo's dad were all entrepreneurs as well. And so
Oh,
we had that desire to build something for ourselves
yeah.
already coming to fruition. And Joe said, "Hey, I think I have a great idea.
Okay.
Cannabis legalization's around the corner at this time. The industry hasn't seen innovation in this technology in decades."
Mm.
And we say, "Yeah, let's try it out." And that's
Nice.
the origins.
Well, listen, that's awesome. You taking, a practical idea and it now turning it into a business. That's actually a great seaway. You're working with your brother now. You're working with John Carlo. That's a tight inner circle. And you kind of got into a family and then close friend. A lot of people would tell you that that's one of the most dangerous configuration for founding a team. But y'all made it work. I mean, what made it work, or what has been genuinely challenging?
That's a fantastic question. Joe is still an advisor to the company.
Okay.
He's less in the day-to-day operations at this time.
Okay.
He's taken a little bit of a step back, still highly involved, just no longer in the day-to-day
Yeah.
as much. And that's purely due to family reasons. He got married, his wife lives in California, and we're still working out of Toronto,
Mm.
so it makes it a little bit more challenging.
Okay.
Um, However, to answer the question, honestly, what it came down to is trust.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
there have been plenty of challenges along the road, founder disagreements, founder arguments.
Yeah.
Building a business, as you know, is not the easiest thing in the world to do. And
It's not. No.
it's understanding that when you have those disagreements, they're not personal. They are business related issues, and
Yeah.
being able to keep that separation requires an intrinsic layer of trust because you have no one else who understands your position the way that your co-founder does. You
Yeah.
share the same frustrations, and so for us, it was the ability to have that trust that
Hmm.
we're all working towards the same goal here. We're all working towards the same objectives, and
Yeah.
so long as we have that intrinsic understanding and that intrinsic trust of each other that we're all working towards the same
Yeah.
outcome,
Yeah.
we can overcome anything. And specifically myself and Giancarlo,
Yeah.
as we've continued to stay in the active day-to-day management and continue to try and disrupt a immature industry,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you do become each other's venting instrument and punching bag, so to speak. So um, it really comes down to just having a tremendous amount of trust and a tremendous amount of respect for the people that you're working with, and faith. That's all it is. You just got to believe.
Oh, I love that too. I love that. Yeah, it's one of those things that you have the familiar bond, and even some of your best friends, you kind of look at them as your family, quite frankly. And you're right. I think once you have that trust, and you also have the ability to take on challenges head on. At the end of the day, you believe that you all have the right things in mind. Your heart is in the right place, and from that standpoint, and faith for sure. It's just like any entrepreneur, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, but you
Yep.
believe that it's going to happen for you at the end of the day. So that's
Mhm.
awesome. Continuing around the early build now, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I get these numbers wrong, do my research. So I think you initially raised about what 85,000 through some pitch competitions before your institutional round, which is non-dilutive capital. Learned the hard way or earned the hard way anyway. Then I think you did another 350K raise in 2019. Most founders will kill for a clean early cap table like that. Was the non-dilutive path a deliberate philosophy, or was it just, one of the things that was available at the time?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
The honest answer, and this is the advice that Giancarlo and I frequently give, is that when the only thing you have to your name is student debt in terms of assets or liabilities, however
Yeah.
you want to look at it,
Abilities. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
getting into manufacturing is a really hard choice. And there's a lot of upfield requirements, prototypes, patents.
Yeah.
There's no tech build, there's no software. It's not like we're building this in the back end on our computers. No, we're building physical product,
Yeah.
which means we need to go out, get the design work done. And so um, it was what was available to us and what we needed to do at the same time
Sure.
to get the momentum, get the initial validation that we required to go to market with confidence and do that initial raise of 350 afterwards. So that 85,000 was instrumental to our success. It paid for prototypes, it paid for patents, it
Yeah.
enabled us to start generating interest in the market and come to the table with some real traction behind of us
Yeah.
rather than going to investors empty handed and saying, hey, we have an idea, we don't have anything else.
Yep. Yep. Understood. The so let's fast forward now a little bit. 2020. The world is shut down. The original customer base was, I guess, the cannabis sector, but there was some chaos there from that perspective. Most companies were in a position of survival mode. Blade Air pivots, to indoor air quality for public spaces. Wins the record for air purifiers for schools, so forth and so on. I think you tripled your revenue, 50 to 100, 1.5 million in 1 year. Walk me through what that actually looked like from the inside, because when I hear 30 times growth, anybody will sign up for that. But I mean, it sounds incredible. But the hindsight, I'm wondering, did you feel like that was happening, or why did you feel like that was happening?
All great questions, and you use the word chaos, uh, and it really is just navigating chaos,
Yeah.
um,
Well, you had a perfect
and
storm
finding
that year. I mean,
opportunities.
so many
Yeah.
things happening. Yeah.
So 2019, we raise capital. We all graduate from school, and in late 2019, we finally start selling the product, and we do about
Mhm.
50,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
We have a great pipeline, well, great for back then, pipeline
Yeah.
coming into 2020. We have some great client site visits in early 2020. And I distinctly remember we were on a flight back from Vancouver. And on the flight there, no one wore a mask. One person on the plane wore a mask. On the
Mm.
flight home, everyone wore a mask. And 2 weeks
Wow.
later, the entire world shut down and the
Wow.
cannabis markets bottom out, which
Yeah.
is crazy because their sales went up like nuts when everybody was just sat at home smoking weed all day. They're finally actually like generating profit and their
Yeah.
stocks are just gone.
Booming.
So our pipeline basically disappears overnight.
Wow.
And we're in,
Wow.
exactly as you're talking about. Everyone's in survival mode. All of the projects are on hold. And so we're basically out of money at this point. Our investor runway was very strategically mapped, and that was the
Hmm.
first mistake we made was raising what we thought we needed instead of taking a safety net. And so we're basically out of money at this point for our
Hmm.
runway.
Yeah.
And we're put into a position where we ask ourselves, okay, do we continue on carbon filtration and double down here, or do
Yeah.
we take a step back? And at this point, there was an ethos that we had kind of established as an organization. We cared about energy efficiency, we cared about operational efficiency,
Yeah.
cared about logistics and waste reduction. And as a
Of course.
baseline, we were improving air quality. And so we chose to lean into the latter, started building air purifiers with the intention of selling them to our cannabis customers so they could go back to their job sites and install our carbon filters.
Nice. Hmm.
And then very quickly started seeing success in the private school industry, leveraged that into the public schools, and then just continued to grow from there. Became a vendor of record for the Ontario government and went from 50,000 in revenue to 1.5 million in revenue,
Mm.
and then continuing growth through the pandemic that enabled us to have the funds necessary to complete the Clean Air AI acquisition and the subsequent Interico acquisition as well in 2024 for what
Wow.
is the new platform technology,
Okay.
the whole building solution, which is our Pro Filter.
Nice. Wow. Okay. I didn't know about the other acquisition. Wow. Okay. So I'm just thinking about the whole growth narrative too, and I think you kind of touched upon this. Sometimes that expansive growth break things. You got mergers. Your team is changing, maybe evolving, maybe growing. It breaks processes. When I say break, I'm using air quotes here. It breaks processes, people, relationships, supply chains. What broke inside Blade Air during that growth surge, and how did you put it back together?
Didn't break, man. You're just constantly in a cycle of rebuilding.
Just
In
bending.
20, It's in 2020, I distinctly remember this. 2021, sorry, we were sat around a coffee table,
Yeah,
and we're doing some strategic planning, and we have this one like eight-figure revenue contract that we're hunting, and we don't believe it's going to happen. We're like,
yeah,
let's acknowledge the fact that we're going for this job. If it happens, great.
great.
Super, super high level. Here's what you'll do. Here's what I'll do. Here's what they'll do. And let's just shuffle along.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, we win that contract. And you're like, I'm so excited. Holy shit, I need to get to work.
You gotta do
Um,
something.
Got to do something. Man, I tell you what, trying to finance an eight-figure contract on a total capital raise of $460,000
Yeah.
does not compute.
Yeah.
So we're like scrambling to find money, we're scrambling to find vendors.
Yeah.
And it's just like we were talking about earlier. It's just
Yeah.
that attitude of nah, it's gonna work. It's faith, it's belief, it's resiliency.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Giancarlo and I, especially being on more of the business development side and
Sure.
the team side, have always believed, which is get the work figured out. You can make anything happen that you believe in, and
Yeah.
so you just got to find a way to keep moving forward. So we in 2021 got our
Yeah.
own office.
Mm.
Prior to that, we had been working out of our vendors' places. And by October, we had doubled the amount of space that we were in. And by December, we had moved into a space 10 times the size of our original office.
That's awesome.
And
Wow.
yeah, you're just doing what you got to get done, man. It's just
That's awesome. Wow.
constantly moving forward.
Wow. I'm over here excited
And
for you all.
that's all the good stuff, man. When you come post pandemic and now you're trying
Oh.
to navigate a world that does not want to talk about air quality anymore,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you're trying to refigure out your entire go-to-market strategy. You're now playing with a
Mm.
new disruptive technology that you
Yeah.
fell in love with and trying to introduce that to a mature industry.
Yeah.
That's when the real resiliency got tested. Like figuring that out
Yeah.
and the hardships and the failure, the continuous failure that we went through before, it
Yeah.
was really that mindset of every time we fail,
Yeah.
we're just taking one step closer to the right path. It's
Mm.
not we're
Mm.
done, we're giving up. It's this
Yeah.
didn't work. Okay, what
Yeah.
did we learn? How do we apply that? And dude, so many of those little steps that had to ladder up to get to a place where even it was late last year that we really found the product market fit for this tech and are now scaling the company as a result thereof. Prior to that, it was really, why aren't you buying this? It makes total sense for you to buy this. And so just the learning processes were incredibly real,
Yeah.
and very, very humbling. So lots of stuff broke. It's just the attitude of if it broke, it
Hmm.
just wasn't meant to be. And how do we create a better one?
Someone used to say, it's life is like a maze. When one door closed, treat it as a wall, as life redirecting you to where you need to be from that perspective. Not a door
Love
closed, but
that.
a wall that
Yes.
redirects you. Let's shift to the technology. Let's shift to that gear. To your point, a lot of founders generally fascinated around piece around engineering. I know you're not an engineer, but you sound like you know plan, do, check, act like the back of your hand. That's a lot of engineers. I'm an engineer, and I go through that whole PDCSA, all the time. But I think a lot of people who use air filtration every day have no idea how it actually works or why it matters. So let's kind of talk more around the science here. Before we get to Blade Air specific products, I want to make sure the listener has a bit of a mental model. What's something you talk about a lot, and I think is pressure drop. Most people think about air filtration in terms of what it captures. You seem to be equally obsessed around the resistance, the energy cost of pushing air through a filter. Can you explain that tension for me? Why is, pressure drop the
Yeah,
number that actually matters?
absolutely. And yeah, I'll explain the relationship there. So when we think about HVAC, especially in a commercial setting, it
Mhm.
is one of, if not your largest energy consumer. In a typical commercial building, you're anywhere from 30 to 40% of your total
Mhm.
kilowatts are
Mhm.
dedicated to HVAC. And if you're using natural gas for heating, about 90% of all of your natural gas consumption comes from
Yeah.
the HVAC as well.
Got it.
In critical environments, those numbers go even further. It's 40 to 65% of total site consumption.
Mm.
And so HVAC traditionally has been a huge line item expense. When you're buying the equipment, you're investing anywhere from tens to hundreds to even millions of dollars to buy this equipment.
Yeah.
You are then spending tens to hundreds to millions of dollars on engineering hours to design, commission, and ensure that you have adequate airflow from that equipment through your ventilated systems or
Yeah.
through your ducts and whatever other air movement windows
Hmm.
or funnels you're using to push air through the space. The second largest choke point to the entire system behind the ducts that you've now spent so much money designing with the engineers is the HVAC filters.
Mm.
And traditionally, we aren't making any significant investment. We're spending $10 and we're saying good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the second largest choke point to the entire system.
Wow.
And the issue here is that the historical relationship between air quality from the HVAC and energy efficiency has been inverse. You
Mm.
want better air quality, you need a
Hmm.
thicker filter
Hmm.
that's going to give you more restrictive airflow, that's going to work your fan harder to move the
Mm.
same amount of air. Or you're adding supplemental technology such as UV, which is incredibly energy intensive. And then you're just, again, adding more energy. So you're not necessarily restricting airflow. You are
Yeah.
still adding energy, though.
Yeah.
The fundamental piece that we've addressed is that second choke point.
Yeah.
Rather than just having a passive filter that air passes on, where you're really only collecting the particulate matter, the dust, the viruses, and whatnot on
Right.
the front surface area of the filter, we're actually turning that filter into a magnet and basically using 3 dimensions versus two to load the filter, which basically
Oh.
translates to about an 8.5 times higher dust loading capacity with 33% less pressure. The simplest
Oh.
way we have
Wow.
found of
Okay.
explaining this is
Yeah.
we are doing to HVAC filters what LEDs did to lighting: more air, better quality, less maintenance, less power. We
Wow.
essentially just move air more efficiently for a longer period of time while still delivering the air quality standards that we are looking for, because we aren't just relying on the filter media itself anymore.
Yeah.
We are attracting those harmful particulates into the filter the same way we're attracting all the other particulates in.
Got it. Oh, okay. No, thank you for going through that. You had me thinking. So actually, when you mentioned the whole UV and the energy intensity that comes along with that, I just moved into my now house, and I was looking at the air filtration system or the HVAC system in our house anyway, and I went upstairs and I noticed this unit that was on my system. I didn't know what it was. I had to have someone come in and they tell me, yeah, this is UV. So this was, supplemental equipment on top of the air filtration system. And I was thinking like, why did they put this in? Or how much power does this thing require, to keep moving? It wasn't cheap to get it replaced either, but to me, I'm hearing you and I'm thinking like, wow, this is some real world stuff that people are not thinking about. But that mentality has to change. You're right. If the condensing lights now to LEDs, that is a massive efficiency gain that people don't really recognize, quite frankly. Yeah, wow.
Mhm.
So listen, we talked about everything about pressure drop, thermodynamics, filtration efficiency. Is about to become a lot more consequential anyway, because we're entering an era where the energy demands of a single building are being reshaped by what's inside it. So I want to talk about AI, data centers, and what happens when you compute density, start to outpace the cooling infrastructure that's designed to contain it. Some of these hyperscalers like Microsoft, I had dealt with them in my past life anyway. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, they're all committing to hundreds of billions of dollars to data centers right now. The power density, everyone's talking about it outside other things to the environment, but the power density inside these server rooms are faster than the grid can really manage or the cooling infrastructure, quite frankly. When you look at what's happening with AI workloads and power consumption, What's the specific problem you worries the most, or what specific problem worries you the most from an infrastructure standpoint?
It's a great question. I would segment my thoughts into two different streams. The first stream is the one that you already mentioned. Actually, you've already mentioned both. The first stream is the ability to add power to the grid.
Yeah,
We cannot add power as fast as we are pulling it right now.
yeah.
Nuclear is going to be another 10 to 15 years before we're in a position where we're going to have
I
another
mean, I didn't even
working.
bring that up. Right. Yeah,
Yeah, right. Like it's we are still very far away from being able to support this level of power drain at this rate. I think
yeah.
there was an article released even last week that I shared and that our company shared online, where
Mhm.
they're predicting in less than 2 years we're going to be out of power. We are already hitting peak demand
Wow.
constantly. If you look at the energy mapping and energy prices over the
Yeah,
last 5 years,
yeah.
specifically in high residential areas where
Mhm.
data centers have started to go up like crazy, you'll see that the price surges are astronomical to a point now where the federal government is actually instilling these new laws where
Mhm.
the data centers are responsible for offsetting those costs.
Mhm.
And so my first concern right now is that we are still planning to add all of these new sites
Mhm.
without addressing the fact that we don't have the power
To
to
plug it
actually
in.
power them. And it's like, okay, great, we're going to put batteries in. Great. How are you going to charge the batteries? And it's like, well, we'll use solar. Okay, how long is that going to last? It's we can't add the infrastructure fast enough,
Yeah,
and so we need to have focus on energy efficiency today. There is so much opportunity to optimize the existing setups, and we see it especially along the West Coast right now,
yeah.
where it is becoming very prevalent
Uh-huh.
on energy planning. And so we'll probably see that continue to spread across North America as the individual hotspots start to really feel that pressure. And there needs to be some more proactive movement. I know in Ontario, just because I'm part of the Ontario Energy Advisory Committee, that there are new incentives being introduced specifically to, again, further increase energy efficiency adoption. And so a variety of technologies just really focused on trying to get companies to lower their existing footprint
Yeah.
to create a little bit more flexibility. In Toronto, the fourth largest city in North America, our grid almost failed 3 times last year, and no one can answer the question why. We
You
just
know,
hit peaks so high.
so to your point, how do you see, I mean, how do we get the industry to move faster from that perspective? I see Blade Air being a tool or a lever, lack of a better term, to push the industry forward. I mean, what in your mind is, you're thinking, how can you leverage Blade Air to move the industry forward?
It's another great question, and I think it needs to be reflected in a financial regard. I think that's the
Mm,
only way that we incentivize action right now is
yeah,
we need to have financial benefit associated to it. We work with a lot of enterprise clients, and our sales cycle can exceed easily 12 months on a regular retrofit program. On
yeah,
specified projects, we're talking 2+ years. And so on an average deal cycle of 12
yeah,
months, that's just the rate at which the industry moves. That's considered relatively good for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
And I think that we need to add urgency, and the way to add urgency is to create financial incentive because we're also in a period of economic uncertainty
yeah.
where everyone is looking for hard dollars. We are
Hmm.
prioritizing hard dollars, we're prioritizing hard savings. So if we want to match those two benefits together of energy efficiency and hard savings, which already have a natural relationship, we
Yeah,
just need to further increase that incentive. That's my honest opinion.
yeah.
And the other side to it is penalization. If you look at what Europe is doing right now, they've known they're going to be out of power even before the Ukraine war,
Mm,
where they were still using Russian oil. And
yeah,
so they have introduced real financial penalties for these groups who are large carbon emitters. It's under GHG. It's all the same thing though.
mm,
They are forcing energy efficiency improvements because they are putting real carbon caps in place for these large enterprise businesses and for specific building footprints
yeah,
that they need to meet the quota for. And so if you don't want the carrot, then here's the stick.
Got it. Well, yeah, no. Yeah, it depend on in the states, depend on who's in the office. Where sometimes where I think we go, 3 steps forward, then we take a step back. We go 5 steps forward, we're taking 2 steps back. There needs to be some kind of collective effort, to your point, how we move forward, what's the carrot and the stick at the same time, from that perspective. Um, so this final segment, let's talk more about Blade Air as a business, the team you built, the markets you're moving into, where you're taking this thing. Because the technology story is only as powerful as the distribution and organization behind it. You got a tight leadership team for one. Okay, you got John Carlo, you got Joseph, Alex, you got I think Kieran is running the operations, Luis Marquez is on engineering. I think you hired Kira Sherman on business development. That's a lot of capability in one org chart. How do you think about building and maintaining that team? What's your philosophy on who belongs in the room when the hardest decisions have to be made?
That is an ongoing learning process.
Mm, mm,
To your point, I am incredibly fortunate to be surrounded by uh, people who care and
yeah,
people who want the company to be successful,
yeah,
not just for their own self-motivated interests, because they believe in what we're doing.
yeah,
And so I'm incredibly fortunate in that regard. And they also happen to be really good at their jobs,
yeah.
which makes it a little bit easier.
That
And so
always makes it easier.
always makes it easier. And so for us, really, what we've started tightening up on is specifically strategy.
Mm,
Where are we going?
hmm.
How are we going to get there? And the cadence that we've established is that Giancarlo and I set the long-term vision. We decide where we want the company to grow to.
Yeah.
And then on a yearly basis, we'll come to the team with objectives that we want to see accomplished for the year.
Okay.
And we ask the team to beat them up. What
Mm,
assumptions did we make that are bad? Like where do we have gaping holes in our strategy?
yeah.
And then once the team has had a chance to review, align, and start to believe,
Hmm.
we basically say, okay, you're in this room because you are better at your job than we are.
There you
If I
go.
was better at your job, then
There
why are
you
you
go.
here?
Yeah.
Like, actually, like, who does that serve at that point?
Yeah.
And so it's going back to them and saying, okay, we've all agreed that this is what we want to accomplish as a company. You've all had the chance to provide your opinions on it.
Yeah.
Now we're asking the question as to how are you going to contribute to this overall goal? And they'll
Got
set
it.
their own objectives for the year in a collaborative and individual style, where it's how is your department going to collaboratively and
Hmm.
collectively contribute to accomplishing this? So it's
Yeah.
just cascading down the responsibilities and having faith in the people that you hire.
That is so important. Making sure that you communicate in the vision, but also reinforcing you're here for a reason. You're sitting at this table because you bring this value to the entirety of the team. So,
Mhm.
outshine, do what you need to be doing. So let's talk about this. As Blade Air scales, how are you and your team actually evaluating like AI tools? I know we kind of talked about this in our first intro call. There's a lot of noise right now. Every platform claims to save you time or provide this 10x output. What's your filter for what's worth testing versus what's just a distraction?
That's a really good question. How we decided to approach this as a team was a collective belief that AI is the future.
Hmm.
Full stop.
Okay.
The difference between the dot-com bubble and AI is that we will not stop investing in AI.
Okay.
Like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, if we know that the future is going here, we need to take a step back and reevaluate our business because AI is not a tool, it's a philosophy now. It's
Mm,
another way of thinking about how do we about our business leveraging AI to its maximum. How are
hmm.
we creating a smarter, faster, more capable team
Hmm.
through the collective use of AI? And that extends to every single function. So what we did as a team at the beginning of the year is we sat down and I put forward the original draft of okay, here are all of the areas, all the major areas of improvement that I believe we can leverage AI to create meaningful value.
Sure.
And the team then added their own contributions to it, and that was our starting point.
Okay.
How are we automating mundane tasks? How are we leveraging AI to improve productivity, improve quality, improve speed? How are we using it to plan better?
Yeah.
How are we using it to free up engineering hours and all of these types of functions?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's working through, okay, here's where we want to get.
Mm-hmm.
What are the tools that we need to leverage that are in the market today that are going to enable us to get there? And
Mm-hmm.
then as we start using these tools, and the market continuously updates. Like 3 months ago or 2 months ago, when co-work didn't exist, like
Yeah.
this plan was great. Now
Yeah.
co-work exists.
Yeah.
Now how do you change your plan? And so it's just being flexible, right? The
Yeah.
same way that you were in the very beginning. You ask what breaks. I think Mark Zuckerberg said it best, like break shit fast. I'm
Mm.
sorry for the second
No.
cuss. You break it fast, right? If you're
Yeah.
gonna break it fast, and that way you
Yeah.
can continuously evolve.
Yeah.
And again, it's coming to that mindset of the market is fluid right now, so we need to be fluid. Improvements are happening in real time.
Yeah.
Does this improvement elevate our existing goals, or does it distract from the existing goals? If it doesn't elevate,
Mm.
toss it out. We're not looking at it.
Yep.
And so it's having the structured idea of what we want,
Okay.
continuing to evolve that as the technology evolves,
Yeah.
and then as the opportunities arise, evaluating those against our objectives.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Let's talk about distribution. I think I was looking at it. You building out a North American distribution network, I think, right now. The commercial HVAC industry, as far as I can tell, is notoriously relationship driven. It's a channel business. So, you mentioned trust early on. That's a lot of trust that needs to be built there, between manufacturers, distributors, contractors. How are you breaking into that channel, and where do you see the biggest white space in that distribution map right now?
Uh, Man, you're coming up with great questions. You're really where were you 3 years ago?
Hey,
Um,
I deal with channel partners all my 20 years, so I know there's a value there.
um, you kind of nailed it on the head again. It's trust, right? It's how do
Mm,
you build trust? One of the best pieces of advice that I ever received as an entrepreneur was it's the question is never how, it's always who.
yeah.
Um, and so when we think about distribution, the question that we are asking ourselves now is who is responsible for energy savings?
Mm,
That is the person who we hold the most significant value to. Who is
hmm.
responsible for delivering energy savings?
Yeah.
Property management. In North America, there's about 100 billion square feet of commercial space, give or take.
Yeah.
20% of that is managed by the top 25 firms alone under
Ah,
property management. And so that by itself creates a huge marketplace within
that's
a
a big
very
pie.
limited number.
Yeah.
It's a huge pie.
Yeah.
And so thinking about it from that perspective, and then if you take that as the primary tranche, then
Hmm.
what's your secondary approach to market? If it's not the facility owner or
Hmm.
manager, then who is servicing them for these needs? And that's where we have a fantastic relationship with Train, the OEM, the HVAC OEM, started here in Canada and then has expanded almost full US wide now for coverage and continuing to build that relationship. We have a thing that we've started with our partners called Ring the Bell.
Hmm.
And again, it's just about trust building. Every time that we have a great project or every time that someone wins a project,
Yeah.
you're sharing the good news.
Mm.
And again, just evaluating the chain down. So if it's not going to be the equipment provider, it's going to be a specialized consultant.
Got it.
And so the approach that we've taken is we liken this back to high tech now. Find your innovators, turn them
Hmm.
to champions,
Yeah.
champions to
Yep.
early adopters to cross the chasm into a place of early majority. We're at that crossing the chasm phase.
Hmm.
We have mountains of social proof from successful deployments, and we have mountains of lab testing to back all of it up. And so that's enabling us to move a little bit more quickly to find people who are willing to try the project out or to try the technology out, I should say. And where we're going now is to this place that we want to get to, which is when you walk into a store today and you
Yeah.
see the LED light fixture and
Yeah.
it's 10 times more expensive than your incandescent light,
Yeah.
you still buy the LED because you intrinsically understand the value prop.
Right.
That's what we want to get to with HVAC filters. Right
Got
now,
it.
we're still in that place of education first,
Hmm.
demonstration of value, allowing the people to test it, try it. We represent change. And
Yeah.
so, in representing change, We're taking a soft approach
Yeah.
to.
A new change if they feel like they're part of the process. And you're right. The more and more you educate, the more you out there talking about it, talking about where the industry is going, becoming that thought leader from that perspective. I think people start building that in their mind, that credibility anyway, from that perspective. Okay, so last question in this segment. I want you to think, I want you to be ambitious here, okay? 5 years from now, if Blade Air has executed on everything you believe is possible, what does the company look like? What does the world look like differently? Or how does the world look differently because of it, from that perspective?
And 5 years from now, this is actually written down on our company North Star,
Hey.
is we want to be a category owner. We want,
Mm,
within our specific customer groups that we target, we
yeah,
want to have a majority position or at least a very large stake
yeah,
of the HVAC filters that they're using.
okay,
And for us, that looks around 30 to 40%. It's a pretty fragmented market.
yeah,
And so we actually have a full ramp plan from years 1 to 5 on
mm,
exactly how we're going to achieve that. And that's
mm,
specifically in North America.
mm,
And recognizing that our product is a global application, HVAC filters are used all over the world. We also want to start expanding to other high leverage markets where we can continue to create incredible value for our customers.
mm,
And so for us, category ownership here in North America,
yeah,
category leadership, 15% stake, in a few high leverage markets where our
mm.
team can expand as natural transitionary points.
So to that point, then, so imagine you had a magic wand. Then, what's the biggest challenge? If you had a magic wand, what's the biggest challenge that you will, if you had a magic wand, you can get rid of it and see it through. What's that challenge you thinking?
I would just erase the deal close time, the deal
Mm,
close lag. I would just accelerate all of the deal timelines. I'm so
sales
we
cycle.
have so much faith in the
Mm,
technology and the to actually do what we say it's going to do that
yeah,
I'm really not concerned about them wanting to try it first and just getting the
yeah,
acceptance.
yeah.
For me, it's more important that we just hurry up the sales cycle.
Got it.
Enables much
Understood.
faster expansion, enables, as you know, much better revenue
Yeah,
for the organization, and
yeah,
just would really set us on fire because I know that once our technology is adopted,
yeah.
our clients love it. They
They're
expand, and
locked in.
it's
Yeah,
they're locked in.
yeah,
It's we know that we're going to create value.
yeah.
Uh, it's how fast can we create that value for you?
Got it. Awesome. No, that's awesome. All right, we're gonna end it the same way, or I'm trying different things to end these episodes, and I got a rapid fire. I got 5 questions, short answers. No filter, Aiden. Okay, you ready? If you were a Marvel character, who would you be and why?
Iron Man. Oh, why? Because Tony Stark's a badass.
You know what? I think I was thinking more like the Hulk. You got that calm demeanor. I don't know how you act, off camera, but you got that calm demeanor that. Okay,
No,
Iron
no,
Man.
no, no. His comment of like the secret is that I'm always angry.
Oh,
Beautiful Bruce Banner comment. Yes,
got
absolutely. That is very applicable.
it. Awesome. What's one piece of conventional wisdom about air quality or entrepreneurship, quite frankly, that you think is completely wrong?
Well, right now, as it relates to air quality, it's the common misbelief that better air quality equals more energy spend.
Yeah. Best meal you have had in the last year. Where were you? And what was it?
My favorite restaurant in the world is Purple Pig in Chicago.
Purple Pig. I have never heard of that. Purple Pig. Is that a barbecue? What is that?
It's like a small place, Mediterranean,
Oh, wow. Okay.
reasonably priced, incredibly consistent quality. I will specifically travel early with Giancarlo to Chicago if we know we have meetings there or whatever, so we can have lunch there before we have to do our stuff.
It's that good. Oh. I'm not mad at that. Okay. I didn't take you for a foodie, but okay, I see
Oh, I
that.
love to eat, man. I work out so I can eat.
Got it. If you weren't building Blade Air, what would you be doing right now?
Building something else.
Mm. You're not an engineer, but but you're an engineer at heart. It sounds like, you like to solve problems. Good deal. Good deal. Last one. If someone made a documentary about Blaze Air first 5 years, what would it be called? I'm already laughing because I'm thinking about the earlier comments.
Can you title a documentary with a question mark? like
You
like
probably
what the hell happened?
maybe two.
Okay, dot 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 question mark.
There you go.
Um Honestly, if I had to title it something, it would
Yeah.
be Never Back Down. Like
Mm,
very similar to the movie Never Back Down. It was hardship after hardship after hardship and
yeah.
an attitude of like F you, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. Aiden, look, what you built at Blair is a reminder. I think that, some of the most consequential innovations, don't announce themselves. We walk past them every day. Schools, hospitals, now we talked about data centers. That's everything. Um, the phrase I want to close this episode with, and I mean it sincerely. I felt it more apt right now, so I'll start it and I'll let you finish it, okay? The future belongs to those who
Are willing to seize it.
willing to seize it. I love it. Aedan Fida, co-founder and CEO of Blade Air. It has been such a pleasure. If you want to learn more about Blade Air and what they're building, head to bladeair.com. If you're a building operator, a facilities manager, or a data center professional wondering whether your filtration strategy is costing you more than it should, I strongly encourage you to reach out to their team directly. They know things about building that your energy bill doesn't. If this conversation made you think differently about the air you breathe, the energy it takes to move it, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to our channel, leave us a review, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Aiden.
Thanks, Nathan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm Nathan Owens III, and if you don't know, now you know, Vay.